A high-value woman doesn't choose her life partner by accident. She's intentional, she's aware, and she knows that love alone isn't enough. Because love without alignment, without respect, without purpose becomes chaos. She's not searching for someone to complete her. She's looking for someone who complements the life she's already building. She looks past charisma and charm because she understands something most people overlook. Character is what remains when the lights go off and no one's watching. It's easy to be impressive for a moment. It's much harder to be consistent over time. She watches for how a man handles pressure, how he speaks when he's angry, how he behaves when he's wrong. That's where the truth lives. Consistency is what earns her trust. Promises, not pretty words, but repeated action. She wants to know that the person showing up on the first date is the same person who will show up year after year. That trust is built brick by brick, not bought with flowers or stolen kisses. She values emotional maturity. Not someone who's perfect, but someone who is self-aware, someone who can name their emotions, sit with discomfort, and still choose connection over ego. Conflict doesn't scare her, immaturity does. She's not afraid of hard conversations. She's afraid of someone who avoids them. A high-value woman wants a partner who has vision. Not just ambition, not just goals, but a deeper sense of purpose. She's not looking for someone to chase success. She's looking for someone who's building a meaningful life. And even more important than matching interests is matching values. Because when two people believe in the same core things, kindness, growth, contribution, they can go anywhere together. She watches how he treats people, not just her, but everyone. How he speaks to the barista, how he reacts when someone disagrees with him, how he talks about his ex. Respect is not a word he uses, it's something he lives. And if he respects others, he'll know how to respect her heart. To her, vulnerability is strength. She doesn't want someone who hides behind armor. She wants someone who is brave enough to say, I'm scared, but I'm still here. She's not looking for a superhero. She's looking for a human being who chooses honesty over image. She values communication, not just talking, but listening. Listening with the intent to understand, not just to reply. She wants conversations that don't just skim the surface, but dive deep into dreams, fears, and everything in between. Because intimacy lives in those spaces. She wants a partnership, not possession, not control, not ownership, but two individuals walking side by side, supporting, growing, challenging each other. She doesn't need someone to carry her. She needs someone who will walk with her through joy, through grief, through life. And above all, she's not looking for someone perfect. She's looking for someone willing to do the work. Someone who sees love not as a destination, but as a daily choice. Because she knows a high-value life is built. And so is a high-value love. When we talk about what truly matters in a life partner, too often we start with surface-level traits, how someone looks, how charming they are, how exciting they seem in the moment. But high-value women don't get caught in that illusion. We've learned, sometimes through heartbreak, sometimes through growth, that charisma might light the fire, but character is what keeps it burning. Charisma is easy to spot. It walks into the room and demands attention. It knows how to make people laugh, how to tell stories, how to say all the right things at all the right times. It's magnetic, it's attractive, but it's also temporary. Because charisma can be rehearsed. It can be manipulated. It can be a performance. And performances don't last forever. Character, on the other hand, is revealed slowly. It's found in the moments most people overlook. The way someone treats a stranger, the way they respond when they're frustrated, the way they act when there's nothing to gain. A high-value woman understands that these are the moments that matter most, because that's who he really is when the mask comes off. He pays attention to the small things, not just the dates, but the days in between. Not just the compliments, but the consistency. She's not impressed by who he is in public. She's interested in who he is in private. Because relationships aren't lived on stages. They're lived in the quiet, ordinary moments. In the way someone shows up when it's inconvenient. In how they handle being wrong. In how they treat her when she says no. A man with strong character has a core set of values that don't shift with the wind. He doesn't compromise them to impress others. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not to win her affection. He leads with integrity, not ego. Without it, everything becomes suffocating. A high-value woman is not looking for someone who can say the right things in the right tone. She's looking for someone who will stand by his word, who will show up even when it's hard, who will choose respect even when emotions run high. Because when life gets difficult, and it always does, charisma can't hold the relationship together. Looks fade, words lose their shine. The character remains. It doesn't crack under pressure. It doesn't disappear when it's inconvenient. It shows up day after day in ways big and small. Character means taking responsibility instead of making excuses. It means honoring commitments, even when no one is watching. It means having the humility to apologize when wrong and the strength to grow from it. And it means being honest, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. High-value women don't fall for a facade. They don't chase potential. They observe patterns. They ask, is this someone who's grounded in who they are? Is this someone who leads with their heart, not just their words? Because in the end, charm may catch her attention, but it's character that earns her respect and keeps her love. True intimacy is only possible when character is present, when a person is secure enough in themselves to be real, to be accountable, and to build a relationship based on truth, not illusion. That's what she's looking for. Not someone who sparkles for a moment, but someone who stands firm for a lifetime. We live in a world full of words. Promises are made easily. Commitments are spoken before they're truly understood. It's not hard to say, I love you or I'll always be there. But high-value women have learned that words, while beautiful, are not enough. Because love isn't proven through grand declarations, it's proven through consistent action. Consistency is what builds trust. And trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without trust, love becomes fragile. It becomes full of questions, full of doubts, full of anxiety. But when someone shows up again and again in both the quiet moments and the storms, trust begins to take root. A high-value woman watches what you do, not just what you say. She's not moved by emotionally charged speeches or dramatic apologies. She's moved by repetition, by behavior, by patterns that speak louder than any promise ever could. Because she understands anyone can have a good day. Anyone can show up when it's convenient. But consistency is what reveals true intention. Consistency is not about perfection. It's not about doing everything right all the time. It's about effort. About showing up fully, not just when it benefits you, but especially when it doesn't. It's about honoring your word, even when life gets busy, even when you're tired, even when you're not in the mood. She's not asking for fairy tales. She's asking for reliability. If you say you'll call, call. If you say you care, show it. Not just once, not just when she's upset, but as a way of being. Because when your actions line up with your words, that's when she begins to feel safe. And safety is the beginning of everything. When a man is consistent, he gives her something rare, emotional security. The kind that allows her to relax into the relationship, to stop questioning, to stop doubting, and to simply be. She doesn't want to play detective in her own love story. She doesn't want to wonder who you'll be tomorrow. She wants to know that the man she fell for is the man who's still standing there when life gets hard. And life will get hard. There will be disagreements, challenges, seasons of uncertainty. In those moments, promises don't help. Flowers don't fix things. It's the consistent choice to show up, to stay present, to keep communicating that builds resilience in the relationship. Consistency also means emotional steadiness, not being perfect, but being safe. She's watching how you respond to her vulnerability. Does your energy change when she expresses a need? Does your attention fluctuate based on your mood? Because to her, consistency is not just about doing, it's about being dependable, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. A man who is consistent doesn't need to constantly reassure her. His presence does that for him. She doesn't have to ask twice, doesn't have to guess, because his actions speak clearly. You can trust me. You can rely on me. I am who I say I am. And when she sees that you're not just a highlight reel, but a steady light through every season, something shifts. Her guard drops, her heart opens, and she starts to trust, not because you convinced her, but because you showed her. Consistency isn't glamorous. It won't always get applause, but it builds something stronger than passion. It builds peace. And a high-value woman would rather have peace than promises. She would rather have steady love than dramatic love. Because she knows the ones who keep showing up even when it's hard are the ones worth building a life with. Emotional maturity is not something you can fake. It's not about age, experience, or even intelligence. It's about how a person handles their emotions, how they communicate through conflict, and how they show up for another human being when it matters most. And for a high-value woman, this is non-negotiable. She doesn't need someone who never gets upset. She doesn't need someone who always knows what to say. What she needs is someone who takes responsibility for their emotional world. Someone who doesn't blame others for their pain, doesn't lash out when they're triggered, and doesn't run away when things get hard. She needs a partner who understands that love requires emotional responsibility. Emotional maturity means being able to sit with discomfort. It means being able to feel your emotions fully without letting them control you. It means not projecting your wounds onto someone else. It means pausing before reacting. It means being able to say, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, instead of shutting down or exploding. That kind of awareness is rare and deeply attractive to a woman who knows her worth. A high-value woman is not impressed by emotional chaos. She's not drawn to drama. She's been there before, and she knows how much it costs. She knows what it's like to try to fix someone, to walk on eggshells around someone's moods, to carry the weight of someone else's unresolved trauma. She's done with that. She's not looking to be someone's emotional caretaker. She's looking for a grown-up partnership. In her world, emotional maturity means honest, respectful communication. She's not afraid of conflict, but she is afraid of avoidance, gaslighting, manipulation, or stonewalling. She wants a partner who can talk with her, not at her. Someone who can listen without getting defensive. Someone who can hold space for her feelings without trying to fix or minimize them. It also means accountability. When you mess up, and you will, because we all do, own it. A mature partner doesn't make excuses. He doesn't shift blame. He says, I was wrong, and I'm working on it. And that humility, that willingness to grow, that's what builds long-term trust. Emotional maturity also looks like self-regulation. It's easy to be kind when everything is going well. But who are you when you're frustrated, when you're tired, when you feel misunderstood? Do you attack, withdraw, punish? Or do you breathe, reflect, and choose to show up with compassion? Because a woman who has done the work on herself, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, knows what she brings to the table. She brings peace, clarity, and strength, and she needs someone who can meet her there. Not someone who depends on her to regulate his emotions, but someone who's done his own healing, someone who can stand next to her whole on his own. She's not asking for perfection, she's asking for presence. For someone who is emotionally available, not just physically present. For someone who knows how to apologize without feeling like a failure. For someone who can talk about their fears and still choose love in the face of them. Because emotional maturity is not a trait, it's a choice. A daily one. And it's one of the most powerful forms of love. It says, I won't punish you for being human. I'll walk with you through the mess. I'll own my side and I'll respect yours. I'll stay grounded even when emotions run high. That's what makes love sustainable. That's what makes a relationship safe. And for a high-value woman, that's not just a preference, it's a requirement. Because without emotional maturity, everything else, no matter how good it looks, eventually falls apart. It's easy to be drawn to someone who likes the same music, enjoys the same movies, or shares your favorite hobbies. Common interests can spark attraction and create moments of connection, but they're not enough to sustain a lifelong partnership. High-value women know this. They understand that surface-level similarities might make things fun for a while, but it's a shared vision that makes things last. A shared vision goes beyond what we like and into where we're going. It's not about whether you both love hiking, it's about whether you both value growth. It's not about eating at the same restaurants, it's about whether you both believe in communication, commitment, and building something meaningful together. Interest can entertain, vision creates alignment. A high-value woman is not building her life around temporary pleasures. She's building toward purpose. She has goals, she has values, she has a deep sense of who she is and where she's headed. And she needs a partner who is not just on the same page, but in the same story. Someone who's not pulling in the opposite direction, someone who isn't just a passenger in her journey, but a co-creator of the future they want to live. When two people share a vision, they don't just look at each other, they look in the same direction. They talk about things that matter. They discuss values, purpose, long-term dreams. They have conversations about how they want to handle money, family, conflict, and growth. Not because it's romantic, but because it's real. That's the kind of alignment that creates stability. Shared interests might bring laughter and memories, but a shared vision brings resilience. Because when life throws challenges at you, and it will, it's not your mutual love of sushi or hiking that will hold you together. It's the deeper belief that you're on the same team, that you're building a life with shared principles, shared direction, and shared priorities. A high-value woman watches for this. She listens between the lines. Does he talk about the future with intention? Does he have a sense of purpose? Does he see relationships as a partnership or a possession? Is he committed to something beyond himself? Because she knows if he doesn't know where he's going, how can he walk beside her? She wants someone with drive, not just for personal success, but for building something together. That could be a family, a cause, a business, or a legacy. What matters most is that they agree on the why behind the relationship, the why behind the sacrifices, the why behind every decision they'll make together. A shared vision doesn't mean they agree on everything. It means they agree on what matters most. It means that even when they take different paths temporarily, those paths ultimately lead to the same destination. It means they can disagree respectfully because they trust that they're still headed in the same direction. And when she finds that kind of alignment, when values match, when growth is mutual, when both hearts are committed to building rather than just consuming, that's when she knows she's found something real. Because connection isn't just about compatibility. It's about commitment to a future that's bigger than either person alone. So yes, shared interests are fun. They add color to the relationship, but shared vision, that's the architecture. That's what builds the structure where love can live, grow, and last. And for a high-value woman, that's the kind of relationship she's looking for. Not just exciting today, but enduring for a lifetime. Respect is one of those words that people use often, but few truly understand what it means. Especially in relationships. It's not something you demand. It's not something you automatically receive because of your title, your age, or your role. Respect is something you show. And for a high-value woman, respect isn't just a box to be checked, it's the foundation of everything. Respect isn't about flowers on anniversaries or grand gestures once a year. It's about the way someone speaks to you when they're angry. It's about how they treat you when no one's watching. It's about the little things, the tone they use, whether they interrupt you, whether they listen just to reply or actually hear what you're saying. Respect lives in the details. A high-value woman isn't impressed by charm if it isn't backed by character. She's watching carefully. Does he speak over people in conversation? Does he diminish others to feel powerful? Does he act one way in public and another in private? Because she knows if a man can't offer respect to everyone, he's not capable of offering true respect to her. She also pays attention to how he talks about women, his ex, his mother, his female friends. If he mocks, belittles, or blames them, she knows that eventually that same energy will be turned toward her. You see, respect doesn't start in romance. It's a way of life. It shows up in how you handle disagreement, how you set boundaries, how you treat people who can do nothing for you. To respect someone is to recognize their humanity, their worth, their autonomy, their voice. And in a relationship, that means honoring your partner, not only in the highs, but in the lows. It means being gentle with their vulnerabilities. It means giving space without punishment. It means not needing to win every argument just to prove a point. That's what real strength looks like. Respect is also shown in how you respond to no. Can you accept it without guilt tripping? Can you hear it without withdrawing love? A high-value woman knows that love without respect is dangerous. Because without respect, love becomes control. It becomes manipulation. It becomes a performance. And she's not interested in playing a role in someone else's drama. She's looking for someone who understands that respect is not just a feeling, it's a practice. It's choosing kindness even when you're frustrated. It's being honest even when it's uncomfortable. It's being present even when you're tired. It's saying, I see you, I hear you, you matter, not just when things are easy, but especially when they're not. A respectful partner values her thoughts. He doesn't dismiss her intuition or tell her she's being too emotional. He sees her as an equal, not someone to fix, control, or save, but someone to walk beside. And that equality isn't about who earns more or who leads. It's about mutual recognition, mutual effort, and mutual care. You can't fake respect. It shows up when you're tested, when you disagree, and you're uncomfortable. And for a high-value woman, those are the moments that reveal who someone really is. Because respect isn't about appearances. It's about alignment. It's about whether your actions match your words, whether you lead with ego or with empathy. She doesn't need to be worshipped. She doesn't need a pedestal. She just wants to be seen, heard, valued. And when she finds someone who shows her that kind of respect, consistently, quietly, without needing recognition, she knows she's found something rare. Because in the end, respect is love in action. And without it, love is just noise. Love should feel like freedom, not control. And a high-value woman knows the difference. She doesn't want someone to own her, to tame her, or to clip her wings. She wants a partner. Someone who walks beside her. Not in front of her, not behind her, but shoulder to shoulder. Because real love isn't about possession. It's about partnership. Partnership means two whole people coming together, not to complete each other, but to complement each other. Each with their own voice, their own dreams, their own space. Not about merging into one identity. It's about creating something new while honoring who each person is as an individual. Possession, on the other hand, is rooted in insecurity. It shows up when one person needs to control the other to feel safe. It demands obedience, not openness. It asks for silence, not expression. And while it might look like love on the surface, calling constantly, questioning your whereabouts, getting jealous over every interaction, it's not love. It's fear disguised as affection. A high-value woman doesn't want to be managed. She doesn't want to shrink to fit someone's comfort zone. She's not looking to be someone's project or their property. She wants someone who sees her strength and says, let's build together, not let me control you. She's worked hard to create a life she loves, and she wants someone who respects that, not someone who tries to rewrite it. In a true partnership, there's room for individuality. You can grow in different directions and still grow together. You don't need to be attached at the hip because the connection is secure. Trust is the foundation, not constant surveillance. And when one person succeeds, the other doesn't feel threatened, they feel proud. That's what a real teammate does. A possessive relationship says you belong to me. A partnership says we belong with each other. One limits, the other expands. One suffocates, the other breathes life. A woman who knows her value won't trade her peace for possessiveness, even if it comes wrapped in romantic gestures or passionate words. She's experienced enough to know intensity is not the same as intimacy. She's looking for a man who's secure in himself, who doesn't need to compete with her glow or diminish her ambition, who can cheer her on without feeling left behind, a man who finds strength in her independence, not fear. Because when two secure people come together, the relationship becomes a space of mutual empowerment, not control. And when she loves fully, but not blindly. She doesn't see partnership as giving up her freedom. She sees it as choosing to share her freedom with someone worthy. She's willing to support, to compromise, to grow, but she won't settle for a dynamic where one person dictates and the other disappears. Partnership requires emotional maturity. It asks you to listen without trying to dominate, to lead sometimes and follow other times, to recognize that love is not ownership, it's stewardship. It's choosing each other every day, not because you have to, but because you want to. In the end, a high-value woman doesn't just want a relationship, she wants a teammate, a co-pilot, a partner in every sense of the word. Someone who values her autonomy, her voice, her vision. Someone who can dance with her through the seasons of life without needing to dim her light to feel secure in his own. Because the strongest relationships aren't built on power, they're built on partnership. And love, at its highest level, is never about control, it's about collaboration.